Assalamualaikum and a good day to everyone. So today we're going to learn chapter 2, material. Okay, material is bahan, ingredient, raw materials, bahan utama dalam suatu produk. Okay, itu adalah materials. Okay, so the objective for chapter 2 is able to explain briefly on materials classification and good materials control system. Explain briefly on Perpetual inventory system. Identify differences between continuous and periodic inventory system. Determine EOQ and stock level. Determine the pricing of materials issues. The content will be material control system, Perpetual inventory system, continuous and periodic inventory system, method of pricing material issues. Okay, so let's begin. Introduction. Material is the ingredient in producing finished goods. In manufacturing industry, a large proportion of production cost is contributed by materials. Materials adalah bahan untuk satu produk yang dah siap. So dalam manufacturing industry, dia adalah sebahagian besar untuk production cost. So, materials can be divided into two classifications. First is direct materials, second is indirect materials. So, direct materials are materials that you can recognize directly. You can detect directly to the product, to the finished products. While for the indirect materials are the materials that you can't directly recognize to a product. Okay, for example, let's use bread as the finished product. For direct materials, while looking at the bread, you can see that flour is among the materials that you can directly detect when you see a bread. Okay, but for indirect materials, you can see from the bread there's water in it. Okay, so that's the difference. Things that you can detect, which is direct materials, while things that you can directly detect to the finished product is indirect materials. Okay, so next slide is material control. So it is a system or procedure that ensure that various functions or departments within an organization coordinates their activities to achieve efficient materials planning, purchase, and usage. It is to ensure a smooth production process. Material control is a cross-department responsibility. Okay, so kita kena ada material control so that you can achieve efficient materials. So that there won't be any waste. It is a cycle to prevent waste, to prevent higher costs, and it is a process that includes many departments, cross-department responsibilities. Okay, so let's go into it in the next slide. In this slide, you can see the key features for material control. It is to use proper forms and records. So there will be more forms and record within the control or in the system. So consider effective purchasing methods. So you will consider effective purchasing methods to prevent loss, to prevent any waste regarding the purchase of the materials, to provide adequate storage facilities so that the material that you bought will be stored in a suitable place so that the material will be in good condition. Operate efficient stock control records. Maintain proper planning and scheduling of materials requirement. So when you want to restock a new materials, you have proper planning and schedule so that the product, the materials that you buy will be on time, and to prevent the full of space in your storage. And lastly is to maintain material cost within budget. So lastly, of course, you need to prevent the cost from going over budget. Okay, so let's look at the material control. Okay, so this is the cycle for the material control. First is procurement department issue PO to selected suppliers. PO is, as stated below, purchase order. It is a document when you want to purchase your materials. So in this department, they will issue a PO with a list of materials that is wanted to be bought, and they will send it to the supplier. Supplier will send goods and DO to the organization. So DO, as stated below, is order delivery. It's another document that prescribes the materials and the delivery order. And next, the cycle will go to goods receive and inspection department. Issue GRN and send goods and GRN to store. So GRN is goods received note. So in this department, they will inspect the materials quality and see whether or not the material is in acceptable standard of the company to be used for its production. After the inspection is passed, the material is within the quality that the company wants, it will be sent to the storage. So storekeeper issue materials to production and raise MRN when ROL is reached. MRN is material requisition note. So in the warehouse, in the storage, the material will issue the material to production and raise MRN when the ROL is reached is when the material is received and will store in the warehouse or in the storage. And if the production department requires it, it will send out the materials. See, it will send out to the production department if they need it, and the production department will request any required materials. So the process is like this. And lastly, they will store control department raise and issue a PRN, purchase requisition note. So the control department will control if any materials is lacking. They will start to issue a purchasing note, and the cycle will start over again. So in this middle cycle, you can see that the production department will also be contact with the cost and finance department regarding the materials. Okay, so that's the cycle of material control, how the material is bought, how the material is sent out to the inspection and receive department. Lastly, we'll go into storage, and the cycle will begin if the material is needed again. Okay, and in the middle you can see the cost and finance department is the center of planning to prevent going over budget of this cycle. Okay, that's the material cycle. So in this slide, you can see the procurement procedures in detail. So the first is initiating purchase by storekeepers, issuing a material requisition note. When the material is needed, the storekeeper will issue the material requisition note. After that, the store control department verifying and subsequently issue a purchasing requisition note. So this department will verify the needed material. After the needed material is verified, it will go into the procurement department selecting the suppliers. So they will select the suitable supplier based on the needed budget or the needed materials. Then the procurement department place purchase order and follow up. They will follow up the purchase order to see whether it is in progress or in hold, so that updated is received. So after that, it will go into a receiving and inspecting the supplier and returning unwarranted suppliers. Receiving and inspecting the supply and returning unwarranted suppliers. So they will inspect the received good and return the unnecessary one. And they then go to the goods and the GRN are sent to the store. So the goods received, after the materials are received, they are sent to the store, and authorization of purchase invoice for payment. So after the materials are received as requested, after all the all the requirements are checked, payment is made. Okay, so that's the cycle, the process. Next will be the example of the materials, example of document used in this cycle, in this process. So these are a purchase order. So this one is a goods and receive note, and this is a material acquisition note. So this is not a fixed format, but generally it will look like this. Okay, so we'll go into a next slide. So this slide will talk about inventory investment and control. Refers to the monetary value of all stocks held by a company at any point in time. It is important consideration that the management must give are the availability of storage space, availability of fund, storage and materials handling costs, risk of loss due to damage, obsolescence, pilferage or deterioration and evaporation, delivery delays or lead time, and economic orders quantity. Okay. Inventory investment control are investment that a company do to their materials. Inventory means the stock, the material stock. Okay, so the materials that are in stock in their warehouse, in their production, in their factory, they have to consider these criteria to prevent any losses, any damages to the materials. Okay, so next. Okay, inventory control system generally covers the function of ordering, purchasing, receiving goods into stores, storing, issuing, and maintaining appropriate stock level. So an effective inventory control system includes the adoption of the following techniques. First one is setting inventory control level. Economic order quantity model, maintaining proper inventory records, stock taking, classification of inventory, and pricing of issues. So these are the techniques usually adopted in managing your material stock in your inventory. Okay, so next. Okay, in setting stock level, consideration must be given to two variables. The first is the usage of the material, kegunaan bahan untuk inventory, kita kena consider. And the second is lead time, the period between placing an order and actually receiving the order. So lead time is like, okay, so lead time is like when you start ordering it, like today. For example, like you start ordering in Shopee today. So you might receive it in 2 or 3 days later, and then you receive the order. Okay. So in between this is the lead time. Okay. The lead time, it is the waiting period. Okay, this is the two consideration when you want to consider for stock level. Okay, the planning and maintaining of stock level is effective by the calculation of the following. So you have 6 ways of maintaining stock level through calculation. First is reorder level, minimum stock level, maximum stock level, reorder quantity, average stock level, and stock turnover ratio. But for your syllabus, you will only learn 3 things, which is reorder level, minimum stock level, and maximum stock level. Okay, so what is the 3 type calculation that you will be learning? First is reorder level, which is the level at which the stock is allowed to fall before an order for stock replenishment is placed. So, kalau you based on the graph that I've given, stock reorder level ROL is in the middle. It is the level which the stock can fall. It adalah level yang stok bahan material kamu boleh berada, kuantiti yang boleh berada. So minimum stock level are the lowest quantity of stock which should be held, and lowering the lower than ROL and as a buffer contingency device. A level which stock should not be allowed to fall. So minimum stock level adalah stok kuantiti yang paling minimum kamu perlu ada dalam storage kamu. Okay, itu yang perlu ada minimum dia. Minimum yang kamu perlu ada. Kalau bawah daripada minimum level, itu dah dangerous. Okay, it is a contingency. Kamu kena berhati-hati kalau dah bawah min stock level. And should not be allowed to fall. So please follow the graph. So it is a very dangerous line if it falls below. So maximum stock level is the largest quantity of a stock which should ever held. The quantity that must not be exceed without specific authorization from management. So maximum stock level adalah quantity stock yang maksimum yang patut ada dalam storage kamu dan sepatutnya tidak lebih, kecuali bersebab lah. So minimum adalah minimum yang patut kamu ada dalam store kamu, dan maksimum adalah level yang max yang patut ada dalam store kamu. ROL ada level bila dah sampai ROL kamu order lain. Dia ada replenishment level, sampai ROL you order lain. Untuk itu adalah berjaga-jaga. ROL adalah level yang berjaga-jaga dah. So next ada example how to calculate those techniques. So let's look at this and begin to calculate. Okay, the example have given a few information. You can see that the normal or average usage is 400 per week. Minimum usage is 300 unit per week. Maximum usage is 500 unit per week. The reorder quantity is 2000 and the lead time is 3 to 5 weeks. So what you need to find is the ROL, the min SL and the max SL. So the formula is given here. So these are the formula for the three calculation. So ROL is minimum usage times maximum lead time. So the minimum usage is 300 times maximum lead time is 5. So our ROL would be 2500 unit. Okay, so that's the reorder level. So the minimum stock level is ROL, which you just found, minus average usage times average lead time. So your ROL is 2500 and you minus the average usage here 400. It's times the average lead time, which means you have to plus 3 plus 5 and divide them into 2. After that you will get 3500. Okay, so that's your minimum stock level. Oh, sorry. Wrong calculation. Your minimum stock level is 900. Your maximum is ROL plus ROQ or EOQ minus minimum usage times maximum lead time. So your max is ROL, which is 2500, plus your ROQ 2000 minus minimum usage is 300 plus the it's time. Three, because minimum lead time is 3 weeks, so you will get 3600. Okay, so even if you draw the graph, you can see that the minimum SL will be the lowest, 900, and the ROL will be 2000. Your reorder level will be in the middle, and the maximum level that you should have in your storage is 3600. Okay, so it is the same as the graph here. So that's how you calculate all these three methods. So let's move on to the next slide, which is the economic order quantity. So it is the optimal order quantity that minimizes the total inventory cost. It is the optimal, okay, the average. The total inventory cost consists of ordering cost and holding cost. So ordering cost is related to the cost that incurred when replenishing inventory or stock material. So among other examples are the ordering process, which includes any document related to the process, any staff salary related to the ordering process. Anything relates to the ordering process, it is the expense in the ordering cost. So next is transportation cost. Second and last is handling cost. These are the few examples related to the ordering cost. So holding costs are the costs incurred in keeping the inventory, meaning keeping and carrying the materials in your warehouse. So such as the warehouse cost, the security cost, the quality control, anything related to the holding of the material in the storage, it is holding cost. Okay. So the EOQ underlying assumption, the cost of the ordering remains constant. Okay, it is always the same, constant. The demand rate for the year is known and eventually spread throughout the years. The lead time is not fluctuating. Lead time is the time it takes a procurement process to initiate and complete. Purchase order per item is constant. No cash or settlement discount are available. The optimal plan is calculated for only one product. Okay, it is for one product. There is no delay in the replenishment of the stock, and the order is delivered in the quantity that was demanded in whole batch. Okay, so these are the assumptions for EOQ. Okay, so to determine EOQ, there are three approaches: tabulation, graphical, and formulation. So these are the notation for the EOQ. When the formula is shown, you will understand. Okay, so lucky for you, for this syllabus, you only have to do formula approach. Okay, but I'll show you the tabulation and graphic approach for extra knowledge. So these are the table that is used to find EOQ. Okay, the first being the total quantity unit amount per order, and the average of order quantity. The third is the number of times stock is ordered, and then there are holding costs, ordering costs, and you will have the total of the two costs. So how do you find EOQ in this table? It is the lowest total relevant cost. So this is how you calculate EOQ using tabulation. Next is how you use it based on graph. So I won't go into details and you won't be tested by using this approach, but this is the graph for the EOQ. So this would be the EOQ level. Okay, lastly, the one that you will be tested in this syllabus is the formula. The D here is the annual demand. The CO is the ordering cost, and the CH is holding cost. So let's do a few examples. So assume a company purchased raw materials at a cost of 332 RM32 per unit. The annual demand for the raw material is 50,000 units. The holding cost per unit is 12 RM12.80 cents, and the cost of placing an order is RM64. Using the formula to find the EOQ. Okay, you can use the three above approach, but I'll only show you the formula since you only be tested in this approach. So EOQ using the formula is 2, and the ordering cost is 64 times the demand is, the annual demand is 50,000 over control. The holding cost is 12.80 cents. So based on this, type in your calculator, you will get 707 units. So this is EOQ. It is in unit because you calculate it to find the material you need to buy, the optimal quantity. Okay, the same with the three formula that I've shown you before. All of it also in unit. See, all it is also in unit. Okay, so because you want to buy the unit for the materials. Okay, so that's how you calculate for EOQ. So let's go into the next slide. Okay, now so you're learning about inventory recording. Before you learn about when to order the material, now you're learning how to record them. Okay, so inventory recording is to ensure that all the inventory are recorded accurately. Okay, to prevent any missing, any obsolete materials. The recording is divided into two, which is the perpetual inventory system, and the stock taking itself is divided into categories. It is continuous inventory system and the periodic inventory system. Okay, so next. Okay, perpetual inventory system, a system of records whereby the receipt and issue of stores are continuously updated after each transaction and the balance show the up-to-date position. The types of record maintained under the perpetual inventory system are bin cards, shows the quantity of individual stock item in a particular store location. Issue to record the receipt, issues, and closing balance of the material kept in the store. A separate bin card is prepared for each item of stock kept in the stores. Second is store ledger. The store ledger records stock items in quantity as well as value. It shows the free stock balance and the stock control level and the value of stock. Stock ledger is maintained by the cost accounting department and represent a stock control level. Okay, so under the system, there's two ways of recording them, either bin card or store ledger. Okay, so this is the stock ledge card which you will use to calculate later on. So this is the format that we'll use in our syllabus. Okay, so the advantage of Perpetual inventory system that it keeps the record of stock up to date. It acts as a control device, so the possibilities of loss or theft of the material are minimized. The record of stock minimizes the errors in recording the receipt and issue of stock. The discrepancy noted after physical counting are detected and corrective action is taken promptly to avoid future recurrence. Enable the preparation of final account, and lastly, slowing moving inventories, obsolete or dormant stock are easily identified. So these are the advantages for the perpetual inventory system. Easily detected, minimize and control device, and any slow moving, obsolete or dormant stock can be identified. So the physical issues can also be identified during the physical counting, which physical counting means during the checking of the materials, you can see any problems to the material. Okay, so it is to prevent any this event to happen again. Okay, stock taking system. So for stock taking system, it involves counting physical stock on hand at a certain date and then checking again the balance shown in the clerical records. So it is divided in two, which first is continuous stock taking system. And continuous stock taking system complements the perpetual inventory record system. Continuous stock taking is where physical verification of stock are conducted on a continuous basis to determine the actual physical balance. Okay, stock taking is physical. Maksudnya kamu pergi check benda tu sendiri. Physical checking, physical verification of the items. Okay, so it says complement the perpetual inventory record system. Dalam perpetual pun ada juga physical verification. Okay, so the second is periodic stock taking system. Stock item are verified on periodic basis annually. So there is a specific date that you will go and check for that stock annually. It is costly and interrupts the production operation. Using the system, discrepancy are only reported at the end of a period and usually annually. So since checking the stock is on a certain time only on that time will you find any discrepancy or any damage to the materials. So the the damage or the problem will be identified late. Okay. So the issuing materials, there are two aspects of issuing materials. The materials quantity issue from the store and the pricing materials issue. So the common use methods are cost price method and the average price method. But you will only learn FIFO, which is the first in first out, and weighted simple average or weighted average. Okay, so this is how you control the inventory balance and the pricing issue, the pricing of the material. Okay, so let's look one by one. FIFO is first in, first out. Material are issued and priced at the earliest purchase price based on the concept first in, first out. Using the FIFO method, the closing stock is valued at the latest purchase price, thus it represents the current market condition as far as possible. So maksudnya, first in first out adalah material yang masuk dalam kilang dulu, dalam warehouse kita dulu, akan digunakan dulu untuk production. First in dan dia juga first akan out. Kita akan habiskan yang datang dulu, baru kita akan guna yang datang kemudian. Itu maksud first in, first out. So the advantage and disadvantage of FIFO is it is a logical and for advantage it is a logical and simple methods to operate. Okay, logical and simple. Of course, it's logic. First in, of course you have to finish them first. It came first. The material are charged at cost only. So the purchase price is recovered in full without showing any profit or loss on issue. This method is appropriate during recessionary period when the price are falling and the consumption rate of the material is low. The slowing down and the closing stock is shown at market price. Kenapa cakap market price? Sebab kita guna dalam waktu dia masih dalam tempoh harga itu masih relevant. Itu adalah market price punya harga. Kita guna waktu pembelian dia masih fresh. Okay, so the disadvantage, it is not suitable during inflationary period when the price show a rising trend. So tak sesuai FIFO bila harga meningkat. So bila harga material meningkat, of course produk kamu akan meningkat. So bila benda tu berlaku, harga barang kamu naik dan orang akan mungkin tak beli. The same type of material issued to two jobs at two different price will show different cost. Okay, so bila you use different batch of materials, dia akan nampak lah kenapa ada yang murah, ada yang mahal untuk barang yang sama. Sebab harga material lain-lain. So clerical error may occur when price fluctuate frequently. So disadvantage dia bila ada harga fluctuation. Bila harga naik turun, kita akan nampak batch ni guna harga mahal sebab material dia mahal dan batch ni murah sebab dia guna material pada harga murah. Okay, weighted average method. It is the issue price is based on the weighted average price of the purchase period to the issue. This method helps to overcome the problems arising the wide price fluctuate. Nevertheless, it involves tedious calculation. So, weighted average method is kita guna harga yang purata. Kita bukan guna siapa yang datang dulu, kita guna harga tu. Tak. Kita ambil semua balance stock yang kita ada dan kita averagekan price dia, then we will use that price to issue the material price. Okay, tapi calculation dia tedious. Sebab kamu kena averagekan all the total of the material in the warehouse. You have to calculate every time if there is a new batch of material. Okay, so these are the reference used for this slide. So FIFO and weighted average, you will calculate using this stock ledger card. Okay, so the calculation of those two would be tedious. Thus, I will show you during our Google Meet later on. So, please print out the stock ledger card so that we can do the two methods together and you can see the difference. Okay, so that is all for chapter 2. The end. Thank you.